Are you ready to pass the AZ-104 exam on your first attempt and become a Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate? In this video, we will cover Microsoft Azure Administrator AZ-104 practice exam questions and explanations. Master the AZ-104 Microsoft Azure Administrator exam with these 30 comprehensive practice questions. In this video, we cover 30 high-quality practice questions designed to simulate the actual AZ-104 exam. We will dive deep into Azure identities, governance, storage, compute resources, and virtual networking. Make sure to grab a notebook. Pause the video before each answer is revealed, and test your knowledge. Your company has an Azure AD, Entra ID, tenant named Contoso.com. You need to ensure that users can only access the Azure portal when they are connected to the corporate office network. What should you configure? Option A, Azure AD Privileged Identity Management, PIM. Option B, a conditional access policy with a named location requirement. Option C, Azure Role-Based Access Control, RBAC. Option D, a self-service password reset, SSPR, policy. The correct answer is B. Conditional access is the tool used by Azure AD to allow or block access based on specific signals. By defining a named location, IP range of the corporate office, and creating a conditional access policy, you can restrict access to specific cloud apps, like the Azure portal, only when users are within that trusted network. RBAC controls what a user can do, not where they can log in from. And PIM is for just-in-time elevation of privileges. You have an Azure storage account named Storage1. You need to ensure that any data deleted from a blob container can be recovered within 14 days. What should you enable? Option A, Soft Delete for blobs. Option B, Azure Backup for storage. Option C, Blob versioning. Option D, account-level replication to a different region. The correct answer is A. Soft Delete for blobs protects individual blobs and versions from accidental deletes by maintaining the deleted data in the system for a specified retention period. In this case, 14 days. During this period, you can restore the blob to its state before deletion, while versioning keeps previous states. Soft Delete is the specific feature designed for recovery after a deletion event. Replication is for regional disasters, not accidental deletion. You plan to deploy an Azure virtual machine. You need to ensure that the VM remains available if a single data center within an Azure region fails. Which availability option should you select? Option A, Availability Sets. Option B, Availability Zones. Option C, Virtual Machine Scale Sets. Option D, Azure Dedicated Host. The correct answer is B. Availability zones are physically separate locations within an Azure region. Each zone is made up of one or more data centers equipped with independent power, cooling, and networking. By deploying in availability zones, you protect your application from the failure of an entire data center. Availability sets only protect against hardware failure within a single data center. Rack-level failure. You have a virtual network named VNET1 that contains two subnets named Subnet 1 and Subnet 2. You need to block all traffic between the two subnets. What should you use? Option A, an Azure firewall. Option B, a network security group, NSG. Option C, an application gateway. Option D, a route table. The correct answer is B. Network security groups, NSGs, are the primary way to filter network traffic between subnets or virtual machines within a VNet. By creating an NSG and adding a deny rule for traffic between the CIDR blocks of subnet 1 and subnet 2, and then associating that NSG with the subnets, you can effectively block internal traffic. Azure Firewall is more robust for perimeter security, but NSGs are the standard for internal subnet to subnet filtering. You need to be notified via email whenever a new virtual machine is created in your subscription. What should you use? Option A, Azure Advisor Alerts. Option B, Azure Monitor Activity Log Alerts. Option C, Azure Metric Alerts. Option D, Resource Health Alerts. The correct answer is B. The Azure Activity Log records all write operations, put, post, delete, on resources in your subscription. Creating a VM is an activity recorded in this log. By setting up an activity log alert with an action group that sends an email, you can be notified every time a specific administrative action occurs. A user needs to be able to create and manage all resources in a specific resource group, but should not be allowed to grant access to others. Which RBAC role should you assign? Option A, Owner. Option B, Contributor. Option C, Reader. Option D, User Access Administrator. The correct answer is B. The contributor role grants full access to manage all resources in a resource group but does not allow the user to assign roles in Azure RBAC. The owner role includes the contributor permissions plus the ability to manage access. Microsoft Authorization. Reader is read-only, and User Access Administrator only manages access. You need to grant a third-party developer access to a specific container in your storage account for exactly 8 hours. What is the most secure way to do this? Option A, provide the storage account access key. Option B, create a shared access signature, SAS, for the container. Option C, assign the developer the contributor role on the storage account. Option D, create a public link for the container. The correct answer is B. A shared access signature, SAS, provides secure, delegated access to resources in your storage account without sharing your account keys. You can specify the start time, expiry time, 8 hours, and permissions, read, write, list, making it the most secure and granular method for temporary access. You have two virtual networks, VNET1 and VNET2, in different regions. You need to connect them so they can communicate using private IP addresses. Which solution provides the lowest latency? Option A, site-to-site VPN. Option B, virtual network peering. Option C, VNet to VNet VPN gateway. Option D, Azure ExpressRoute. The correct answer is B. Global virtual network peering allows you to connect VNets across different regions. Traffic in peered networks stays on the Microsoft backbone network, providing the lowest latency and highest bandwidth compared to VPN gateways which encrypt traffic and may travel over the public internet. Which service should you use to run a Docker container in Azure without managing the underlying virtual machine infrastructure? Option A, Azure Virtual Machines. Option B, Azure Container Instances, ACI. Option C, Azure App Service. Web app for containers. Option D. Azure Kubernetes Service. AKS. The correct answer is B. Azure Container Instances. ACI is a serverless solution that allows you to run containers on demand without managing any VMs. AKS is for orchestration of multiple containers, and App Service is for web-facing applications. But ACI is the simplest, no-infra, container solution. You want to prevent any user from accidentally deleting a critical production database. What should you apply to the resource? Option A. An Azure policy. Option B. A read-only resource lock. Option C. A cannot delete resource lock. Option D. A tag named Do Not Delete. The correct answer is C. Azure resource locks prevent accidental deletion or modification. A cannot delete lock allows users to read and modify a resource but prevents them from deleting it. A read-only lock would prevent even modifications, which might not be desired for a database. You need to migrate 10 terabytes of data from an on-premises server to an Azure storage account. You have limited internet bandwidth. Which tool is recommended? Option A. Azure Storage Explorer. Option B. AZ-Copy. Option C. Azure Databox. Option D. Azure File Sync. The correct answer is C. Azure Databox is a physical appliance provided by Microsoft to move massive amounts of data to Azure when network bandwidth is limited, while AZ-Copy is great for network transfers. 10 terabytes over a slow connection is better suited for the offline transfer capability of Databox. You have an Azure load balancer. You need to ensure that a user session remains connected to the same backend virtual machine for the duration of the session. Which settings should you configure? Option A. Session persistence. Option B. Floating IP. Option C. Health probes. Option D. Idle timeout. The correct answer is A. Session persistence, also known as source IP affinity or client IP affinity, specifies how traffic from a client should be handled. By setting this to client IP or client IP and protocol, the load balancer ensures that all requests from the same client are sent to the same backend instance. Which Azure feature allows you to automatically increase or decrease the number of VM instances in a set based on CPU usage demand? Option A. Availability sets. Option B. Virtual machine scale sets. VMSS. Option C. Azure Batch. Option D. Azure Load Balancer. The correct answer is B. Virtual machine scale sets. VMSS allow you to create and manage a group of load-balanced VMs. The number of VM instances can automatically increase or decrease in response to demand or a defined schedule. Autoscale, which is the primary use case for VMSS. You need to ensure that all new resource groups created in your subscription have a tag named department. Which feature should you use? Option A. Azure RBAC. Option B. Azure Blueprint. Option C. Azure Policy. Option D. Management Groups. The correct answer is C. Azure Policy is used to enforce rules and effects over your resources. You can create a policy definition that requires a specific tag and use the enforce or append effect to ensure that department tag is present on every resource group. You need to aggregate and analyze logs from multiple Azure resources in a single central workspace. What should you create? Option A, an Azure storage account. Option B, a log analytics workspace. Option C, an Azure Event Hub. Option D, an application insights instance. The correct answer is B. A log analytics workspace is the central repository for collecting and querying log data from various Azure resources, including VMs, VNets, and apps. It uses the Custo query language, KQL, for data analysis. Which service provides a managed DNS service for your virtual network, allowing you to use your own custom domain names without adding a custom DNS solution? Option A, Azure Public DNS. Option B, Azure Private DNS. Option C, Azure Traffic Manager. Option D, Azure Front Door. The correct answer is B. Azure Private DNS provides a reliable and secure DNS service for your virtual network. It allows you to use your own domain names, e.g., internal.contoso.com, rather than the Azure-provided names, without needing to configure a custom DNS server. You have a storage account with the hot access tier. You have data that is rarely accessed but must be stored for 180 days. To minimize costs, which tier should you move the data to? Option A, Cool tier. Option B, Archive tier. Option C, Premium tier. Option D, Standard tier. The correct answer is B. The Archive tier has the lowest storage costs but the highest data retrieval costs and latency. It is intended for data that can tolerate several hours of retrieval latency and will stay in the archive for at least 180 days. You are deploying a web application using Azure App Service. You need the application to scale up when the memory usage exceeds 80%. What should you configure? Option A, vertical scaling. Option B, horizontal scaling, autoscale. Option C, deployment slots. Option D, app service plan migration. The correct answer is B. Scaling out, horizontal scaling, involves adding more instances of the app service. Autoscale rules in the app service plan allow you to define triggers, like memory greater than 80%, to add instances automatically. Scaling up, vertical, means changing the size tier of the plan. You need to give a group of users the ability to manage all virtual machines in a subscription, but no other resources. What is the best approach? Option A, assign the virtual machine contributor role at the subscription level. Option B, assign the contributor role at the subscription level. Option C, assign the owner role at the VM level for each VM. Option D, assign the virtual machine administrator login role. The correct answer is A. The virtual machine contributor role allows management of virtual machines but not the virtual network or storage account they are connected to. Assigning this at the subscription level gives the group control over all VMs within that subscription. You need to route all outbound traffic from a subnet to an Azure firewall for inspection. What should you create? Option A, A network security group. Option B. A user-defined root, UDR, in a root table. Option C. A service endpoint. Option D. A private link. The correct answer is B. To override Azure's default routing and force traffic to a specific appliance. Like Azure Firewall, you must create a root table. Define a user-defined root, UDR, with a destination of 0.0.0.0/0 and a next hop type of virtual appliance. The firewall's IP, and associate it with the subnet. Which redundancy option replicates your data to a secondary region and also allows read access to the secondary region even if the primary region is healthy? Option A. Locally redundant storage, LRS. Option B. Geo-redundant storage, GRS. Option C. Read access geo-redundant storage, RAW GRS. Option 0. Zone redundant storage, ZRS. The correct answer is C. RAW GRS. Read access geo-redundant storage. Provides the same durability as GRS but adds the benefit of read access to the secondary endpoint. This is useful for load balancing or providing high availability for read-heavy applications. You need to run a small piece of code in response to an HTTP request without managing any servers or containers. Which service should you use? Option A. Azure Logic Apps. Option B. Azure Functions. Option C. Azure App Service. Option D. Azure Container Instances. The correct answer is B. Azure Functions is a serverless compute service that lets you run event-triggered code without having to explicitly provision or manage infrastructure. It is ideal for micro-tasks and event-driven architectures. You want to create a collection of Azure policy definitions, RBAC assignments, and ARM templates that can be deployed as a single unit to ensure compliance across subscriptions. What should you use? Option A. Azure Policy Initiative. Option B. Azure Blueprints. Option C. Azure Resource Groups. Option D. Management Groups. The correct answer is B. Azure Blueprints allow cloud architects to define a repeatable set of Azure resources that implement and adhere to an organization's standards. It bundles different types of artifacts like policies, RBAC, and templates into one package for deployment. Which Azure resource acts as a central hub for managing network connectivity and security for multiple VNets using a hub-and-spoke topology? Option A. Azure Virtual WAN. Option B. Azure NAT Gateway. Option C. Azure Application Gateway. Option D. Azure Bastion. The correct answer is A. Azure Virtual WAN is a networking service that brings many networking, security, and routing functionalities together to provide a single operational interface. It simplifies the hub-and-spoke model at scale. Where can you find personalized recommendations from Microsoft on how to optimize your Azure costs, security, and performance? Option A. Azure Monitor. Option B. Azure Advisor. Option C. Azure Service Health. Option D. Microsoft Defender for Cloud. The correct answer is B. Azure Advisor is a personalized cloud consultant that helps you follow best practices to optimize your Azure deployments. It analyzes your resource configuration and usage telemetry and then recommends solutions. You need to share a file system across multiple Windows and Linux virtual machines using the SMB protocol. Which service should you use? Option A, Azure Blob Storage. Option B, Azure Files. Option C, Azure Disk Storage. Option D, Azure Table Storage. The correct answer is B. Azure Files offers fully managed file shares in the cloud that are accessible via the Industry Standard Server Message Block (SMB) protocol or Network File System (NFS) protocol. This allows multiple VMs to mount the same share simultaneously. Your company uses Entra ID, Azure AD, Premium P2. You want to ensure that administrators only have elevated permissions when they need them and for a limited time. Which feature should you use? Option A, Access Reviews. Option B, Privileged Identity Management, PIM. Option C, Conditional Access. Option D, Identity Protection. The correct answer is B. Azure AD PIM allows you to manage, control, and monitor access to important resources. It supports just-in-time JIT role activation, meaning admins only get the rights when they need them, reducing the risk of compromised persistent admin accounts. You need to provide secure RDP and SSH access to your virtual machines directly via the Azure portal without using public IP addresses on the VMs. What should you deploy? Option A, a VPN gateway. Option B, Azure Bastion. Option C, Azure Firewall. Option D, an application gateway. The correct answer is B. Azure Bastion is a fully managed service that provides more secure and seamless RDP and SSH access to your virtual machines. It is provisioned inside your VNet and allows access over SSL without requiring public IPs for the target VMs. You have an ARM template that you use to deploy resources. You want to ensure that the template is valid before you start the deployment. Which command should you run? Option A, as deployment group create. Option B, as deployment group validate. Option C, as deployment group export. Option D, as deployment group show. The correct answer is B. The validate command checks the syntax and structure of your ARM template and parameters to ensure that the deployment would be successful without actually creating the resources. You need to check if an Azure region is currently experiencing a widespread outage. Where should you look? Option A, Azure Advisor. Option B, Azure Service Health. Option C, Azure Monitor Metrics. Option D, Log Analytics. The correct answer is B. Azure Service Health provides a personalized dashboard that keeps you informed about Azure service incidents, planned maintenance, and health advisories that affect your specific resources and regions. That concludes our 30 practice questions for the AZ-104 Microsoft Azure Administrator exam. I hope these explanations helped clarify some of the more complex Azure concepts. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more certification prep content. For the full set of practice exams and detailed labs, check out the comprehensive course link in the description below.